Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're talking this one. That's right. So I love to read when Jan Moyer puts out pieces, especially about Harry and Meghan, and she really lays into Harry this time. And it's something we've all been talking about. She specifically goes into him playing the victim in regards to this new, Invictus docuseries we've all been talking about. So I thought, let's take a look at the article. Let's go through it and talk about, all the things she's bringing up. She makes such good points, and I'm excited to dive into this one. You guys have left me so many comments saying the same thing, that it's unbelievable how he and his Instagram-loving wife love to play victim. And, of course, this is no exception. So let's take a look. Thanks for being here, everybody. Honk, honk. All right, so this is out of the Daily Mail, and it says, Jan Moyer. Prince Harry's Invictus vision is so admirable, but he can't stop playing the victim. Given that the Invictus Games is the very best of Prince Harry, it's almost impossible to criticize his role in its inception and his appearances in Heart of Invictus, the new 5-part Netflix docuseries that focuses on the work and achievements of this very worthy organization. But there's no reason not to try. Let's start with some of the grandiose but essentially empty language. Thank you for this. I'm so glad she touches on this, because I feel like this was a part that I was so focused on him just continually popping up, I didn't even go into this. Yes, lots of empty language that Prince Harry uses in his Invictus speeches, in that familiar, self-righteous, hectoring tone that suggests no one is doing enough about anything except for him. Thank you, Jan Moyer. The world needs to be reminded of the power of the human spirit, he booms in episode 4 during his 2022 opening address of the Invictus Games in The Hague. What? Hold it right there, Buster. Who on earth writes this guff for him? Can I just press pause to say that no one is oblivious to the obvious? Millions are inspired by the power of the human spirit every day of the week. Indeed, few fail to be moved by the limitless capacity for resilience and beauty for the endless bounty it gives to humanity. From the recent plight of the students stuck on a broken cable car in Pakistan, plucked from certain death by a daring rescue mission, to the 4 children who survived 40 days alone in the Amazon rainforest living on foraged fruit, the human spirit is among us, flourishing. Like being hurt, bereaved, or misunderstood, it is not something upon which this embittered, exiled royal has a monopoly. I love Jan Moyer. And that is the problem. Every time I want to warm to Harry, I'm repelled by his huffy, unconscious entitlement and piercing sense of victimhood, as if he were the only one in the world to have ever suffered. Ding, ding, ding. I love Jan Moyer. This is exactly what I wanted to get into. She nails it. I have so many of you guys in the comments saying the same thing about Harry. He does not have a monopoly on grief, mental struggles, any of this, losing a parent, car crashes, any of this that he loves to throw around, especially in speeches, and especially to, these wounded servicemen and women. It's just unbelievable. And it was unbelievable to watch. And again, I got hung up by the sheer number of speeches he gave. Incredible. It was just every few minutes. It was so distracting. But it was she just does such a good job of pointing out how vapid he sounds, how empty his words are. And I go back to where Meghan was referred to as an empty vessel. I would say Harry very much qualifies for that description as well. To his credit, he shines a spotlight on these soldiers, these men and women with life-changing injuries. They were maimed in the service of their own countries for doing what was asked of them by their government. What is compelling about Invictus is that it makes us look at them at the triumph of their truncated lives instead of looking away. It makes us think about the sacrifice they have made for freedom and for us. Yet it takes a special kind of able-bodied person to bear witness to the limbless and the wounded and the double amps, the blind and the horribly maimed, and then talk about losing his mother at the age of 12. Prince Harry is that person. Quote, I was unable to cry, unable to feel, he says in one episode, a theme he returns to again and again. When it all came fizzing out, I was bouncing off the walls, he says. Elsewhere, he was lying on the floor in a fetal position and takes the opportunity to complain about a lack of support from his family and how he should have been given therapy earlier. You guys, it is as infuriating as she is explaining. It may be even worse. It is incredible to watch him make this event about himself. And again, I'll lump her right in there with him because she was up there giving speeches as well about courage and bravery. What would she know about any of those things? Indeed, throughout all 5 parts of this glossy, well-produced series, there are multiple trigger warnings about mental health issues and exhortations for those who are in torment to seek help. Yet, after all his years in therapy, is Harry really the best advert for its benefits? Sometimes he sounds as if he's still brined in the same old pickle. What's this sometimes she's speaking of? Did you guys read Spare? That's all that dude knows how to do is play victim and talk about the past. He cannot get out of his own way. I mean, even in these court cases, these billions of court cases he's bringing forward, he cannot get out of his own way. Jan goes on to quote Harry by saying, I found myself. I now need to get a glass jar and put myself in. Leave the lid open. And my therapist said, you choose what comes in and everything else bounces off. He says, an explanation that is clear as malt vinegar. Okay, I talked about exactly this when I recapped the show in my original video. And I said, no, Harry does not do that. We've seen it. Again, see Spare for details. He lets everything stick to him and airs every grievance, whether real or imagined, in that book. So no, he does not take the advice. So it's funny that he's giving speeches on this when he clearly does the opposite. But again, that is the hypocrisy of the grifters, right? Okay, she goes on to explain how the Invictus games were born. There's some debate over that. I've talked about that. I went into it more in my last video on this topic. According to books we've read, of course, they say that it was more the palace giving him a project and getting him the right people to set this thing up. Whatever you believe, whether it's his project, not his project, to me, that part really doesn't matter. I just don't think he should be part of it. But she goes into how it was the flight back from Afghanistan where he saw the wounded soldiers that things kind of clicked for him. How could he help ease the trauma and give new meaning to their shattered lives? Through sport, he thought, rather brilliantly. Again, I think she's given him a little bit too much credit. I just don't think he has the capacity to think up stuff like that. I think the palace was looking out for him and put the right people around him. So that's my opinion on that. His inspiration is commendable, isn't it? His energy in making this vision a reality is to be admired hugely. Again, I'm going to disagree, but okay. Compare Prince Harry's Invictus contribution to humanity to any philanthropic impact made by Prince Andrew. His do-nothing dumpling of an uncle, and one sees with clarity who is by far the better man. Again, I'm going to say I don't know about this part. Yet, like a blue vein of pain running through the cheese of peeve, I love that, Harry cannot stop himself from playing a misbegotten blame game. His belief that the Afghan war and its military casualties were not covered by the UK press is an unforgivable, lazy untruth, a slur on all those war correspondents who risked their lives covering the conflict, and indeed, some of whom never came home. Prince Harry's endless war against British newspapers is sometimes unfathomable, as his ongoing ignorance suggests he has never actually read one. Again, way to go, Jan Moyer. I talked about this too in the original. There was just no place. He was taking digs at the media in this docuseries, and there just was no place for it. I thought it was ridiculous. The Duchess of Sussex is a well, I don't know about this. A glamorous, hard disagree, supportive, disagree on that one too, but wispy presence. She attends a few Invictus meetings, wears a scarlet ball gown, that gown, to accompany Harry to a veterans gala in New York in episode 2, and describes him as my incredible husband in episode 4. And he is incredible, not just for allowing himself to be gluttonously introduced in the very first episode as the humanitarian, environmentalist, mental wellness advocate, and military veteran, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Yes, that is a thing that happened. I only touched on the fact that he was using his ridiculous title that should have been gone a long time ago. I didn't even go into that. But yes, that is a thing that happened. Okay, continuing on. Sound the trumpets. In the end, the Heart of Invictus is a search for validation and healing as much for Prince Harry as anyone else. That's it for the article. I thought she did such a good job. You know, I can explain all 5 episodes to you, and I did in a video. You've seen it, but in case you haven't, go watch it. But she really hit the head on some of the more irksome things that Harry did throughout the documentary. It wasn't just that he gave speeches every few minutes, which I've talked about at length. It was the making it about himself, the perpetual victimhood, the bringing up Diana, the insufferableness of using his titles, just all of it, and then remaining clueless and using it as part of his jabs at the press. Just all of that really left a bad taste in my mouth, and it looks like many others' mouths, because that's the feedback I continue to hear about the series. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this article as much as I did. It was very well written and interesting to read aloud. I appreciate each of you for being here, for your lovely comments, for all your support. It means so much to me, and I can't wait to bring you more videos like this. I hope you have the best day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Honk, honk.